Hello and welcome back to Sprite Guard Plays Hyper Rogue. We'll be doing a two-parter again today where I will spend the first episode getting to the endgame content and then the second episode actually exploring the endgame and trying to finish the final quests, win the game, collect the Hyperstones. But that's a long way off yet, and we need to just focus on what we're doing now, because as much as I feel like the early areas are quite easy and a little bit dull sometimes, I still have to be careful and not get ahead of myself, not get cocky, not get careless, and just pay attention. Now, I do want to try and get into this jungle over here. And I would like to do it in a way that I don't pick up any more ice diamonds. So we can just go through that wall there, melt our way through. I want to get the jungle knocked out of the way early while I'm still not really being chased by a lot of monsters. The later in the game you come into the jungle, the more dangerous it is. That's a double, which I did not realize until just then. So, not really sure what all I'm going to be covering today. Mostly I'm just trying to go on an adventure. I had quite an adventure today going to the Emerald City Comic-Con, which was kind of funny how that ended up happening. Was the company that I work for is in the hobbies industry. We make software for hobby stores, hobby game stores, comic stores, stuff like that. Not so much with the model railroads and airplanes, though we may eventually start doing that, but Magic cards and comics and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, stuff like that is mostly what we do, Warhammer. And so we go to a lot of conventions. Our sales and marketing guys run tables at a lot of conventions, and they had just come back from the Game Manufacturers Association, which is a big conference down in Las Vegas. And he'd just gotten back, and we were talking about it and talking about how busy it was, and then I mentioned, oh, and Emerald City is next week. And he kind of got this look of, oh, I forgot. But somehow he managed to get badges, and he actually got some extra badges, so I was able to go even though I am really not somebody that you ever want talking to your clients. I am pretty bad at the whole communication thing, and the few times that I have had to talk to clients, it's gone pretty badly, and I had to call in one of our more client-facing people to basically do damage control after I'd talked to our client. So that's something that I'm avoiding now, but I still got to go to the conference, and I got to meet Jeff Jacks, who writes questionable content, which is one of the more popular, longer-running comics on the internet. It was one that I started reading, I think, in high school, and it started out as this sort of gag-a-day thing, and gradually turned into this very long and complicated soap opera that I'm now very much kind of marked out on. I'm very concerned about the characters' lives and what they're doing. So we have 20 gems. One thing that I want to cover today in this game is I want to work a little bit more on learning how to use orbs, because that's something that I don't really think about very much. So, like, I forget sometimes that sandworms are not affected by the Orb of Flash. But that's something that it's always good to be reminded of, because then I won't try it again. And I always have to be more careful in the desert than I want to be, because it seems like it's just, oh well, it's just the icy land except with some sandworms and you can't melt through the walls. But the sandworms and them not melting through walls makes it substantially more dangerous, I think. And even the Icy Land can get quite dangerous when you're 30 gems in. So now we want to find our way to one of the new areas, and here's the Alchemy Lab, which is perfect. This is an area that I find generally pretty easy to navigate and pretty interesting because of the way that the color mechanic works. There's a lot of interesting puzzles around figuring out where is the best place to kill slime monsters and seeing if it's possible to get to certain places. So I find this to be one of the more interesting areas, even though I actually find it to be one of the easier areas. Let's see, that blue one can't get to us, so it's just a matter of making sure these guys only get to us one at a time and don't cover up those gems over there. Elixirs, I guess. Yeah, Elixir of Life. So yeah, I got to meet Jeff Jacks, and I got a sketch from him of Claire, who is one of the characters, and one of the more popular and better-loved characters, and one of my favorites. It was kind of a difficult decision between her and Hannelore. They're both characters that I really like. But he made a little sketch for me and signed it, and that was really cool. And I tried to talk to him, and that was actually something that I found really interesting and find really interesting about human psychology, is that I kind of turned into like I'm not even sure how to describe it. It's like all of a sudden I could not construct sentences, and I was asking really inane questions, and I couldn't think straight. And I was thinking about how it's kind of really well known and accepted that fame does that to people. Like when you're around someone famous or around someone that you are, that has done something that you find really impressive, for some reason we don't have a lot of ability to deal with that, and it becomes very, I don't even know how to describe it. It's very challenging to carry on in just the most ordinary way when you're around someone whose work you admire or who you think of as famous. And so it was really cool getting to meet Jeff Jacks, but I really feel like I failed myself in kind of just mumbling, yeah, so you're doing sketches, can I have a sketch? It was very nice, though. And he is, he's someone who it's been really interesting, and I've really enjoyed seeing his career develop from just being a hobby webcomic to being his profession, and seeing him go through all of his life changes in his blog. It's kind of interesting how a lot of internet stars have more, well, I don't know, because I guess there's celebrity gossip stuff. So it may be that there's actually more visibility into the lives of pop culture famous people than I realize. And I just I don't pay attention to that, and so it doesn't register for me. So I guess because a lot of the internet stars I have followed, it's all straight from them. It's not gossip magazines, it's not articles about them, it's them talking about their lives as they go through them. And I've always liked that element of it, of really getting that reminder that this is just a guy who does a thing. And so it's been really interesting, and I've been following Jeff Jacks for Oh, geez. Probably close to, like... I half want to say 10 years, and half of me wants to say, like, that's ridiculous. I can't possibly have been reading a webcomic for 10 years, but I really feel like that's how long it's been. I now feel like I have to go and check, because it was pretty close to when it started. It was when it was starting to become more of a narrative strip, but was still, you know, every day was a joke. Every day was a self-contained unit. It hadn't really fully developed into a soap opera when I started reading it. And I think it's really interesting that it was something that went through a great deal of change, but I never felt like I was enjoying it less. Like, as it completely changed direction, I never felt like I was losing something. I always just felt like, okay, well, this is questionable content now. And I still enjoy it. Okay, so where are we? We need some more mirror stuff. And I believe we need some stuff from the Living Caves. And that may actually be everything. Yeah, because this is going to bring us to 60, and then we will start getting into the middle game. And we just need 3 more of these. I am going to, as always, stay close to the walls, because I am still not very confident in my ability to navigate the Mirrored Land. I used to just, like, run across it with no fear, and I don't know if it got more difficult. I don't know if they started eagles spawning in the Mirrored Land, and that's why it seems like it became more difficult, or if it's just that I had kind of beginner's luck. I don't really know how much of this game has changed and how much it hasn't. I believe there was an AI change that made the monsters less likely to line up and more difficult to get them to line up. And so that may have been part of it, that it was more possible to avoid the eagles before, and then now they just kind of try to cut you off. And already it's starting to feel a little bit tense, because they can gang up on you pretty fast. And the only real strategy I have is stay near a wall and fight everything as quickly as possible. But here is a mirror shard that's right next to a door, and then we can just escape like that. And now we have the forest open to us, we have Relia open to us, we have a lot of options. And we just need to decide what we're going to do. And I'm going to head into the forest because I really like the forest. I like that you can modify the terrain. I like that you have to fight the hedgehog warriors in kind of an unusual way. I think I mentioned in the last one that I really like that normally in this game, narrow tunnels are really useful because they make it easier to fight monsters. But because of how the hedgehog warriors, because of how you have to fight them, all of a sudden narrow tunnels become really dangerous, and you're much more interested in finding open spaces like this. And I kind of let more of them gang up on me than is really wise, and so I need to plan out how I'm going to kind of deal with them and just hope and pray that no fairies come up behind me. So I need to deal with these guys and just fight them off as quickly as possible, because I don't know when fairies are going to start coming. They might wait until you have 5 flowers. I'm not sure. We can kind of... no, they do not wait. They do not wait for you at all. Okay. So I'm going to have to fight this one. And then that was very nearly the end of the game, but I managed to get out. So now we have to escape this roaring fire, which is part of what I love about this area. And of course we still have to deal with hedgehog warriors, and there's already another fire fairy coming after us. So this could be where it ends, because I don't see any exits available, and I see 2 fire fairies coming up. And I'm going to have to fight both of them, and they're going to start a fire. Well, maybe the fire will actually block this one off, and I won't have to run away from it. So it looks like I managed to do that. I managed to block it off with the fire. But I still have a fire after me, and a lot of hedgehog warriors, and still no sign of an exit. So I'm just going to have to make my way away from the fire and hope I can stay ahead of it. Because it moves through, as long as there's trees next to it, it moves 1 space per turn. And so it's going to move just as fast as me as long as it has trees to jump to. And so the only ways for me to escape it, really, is if I manage to find a gap in the trees. And that only delays it for a few turns. Let's see. This guy's going to move to here, at which point I would like to stab him by moving here, but I won't be able to because this guy's going to move here. And if I move here, I will not be able to move there or there to stab him, so I think I'm actually going to have to flee over this way and take some time to sort these guys out, fight them off. There we go. And now, well, I was going to try and escape into that icy land, but here comes another fire fairy, and so I'm going to need to set a fire and run away. And hope that I find someplace else that I can escape to. And that is really the danger of, oh dear, let's see, there, okay. So that's the danger of this area, is that it's very hard to find your way out of it. And a lot of the exits end up not being very appealing, like I don't actually have anything to go for in the desert. There's nothing I need from it, and I'm having a little bit of trouble getting to an entrance. And the desert is not that much safer. There's lots of stuff that wants to kill me here, and so it's really I'm just here to try and find my way to someplace else. And this vineyard is actually pretty appealing, because we do not have anything from here. This is another area that has a tendency to be kind of a game ender, so I want to be a bit careful and pay attention to where the vine spirits are, and kind of prioritize keeping my options open over getting to treasure. Like, I will definitely look out for treasure and try to make my way toward treasure, but between treasure and opening space up, I'm going to try to favor opening space up. Now here's a place where they actually are mutually beneficial, because these vine beasts are going to block me off from getting this wine, and so opening things up like this will also let me get to more wine. And that's got us up to 6. This is another area that can be very difficult to escape from once you're in it. And so now I need to even look at what directions I can go in. Looks like we've got some more wine over here that we can grab. That'll put us at 7. But now I'm just kind of looking around, where can I even go next? And I guess it doesn't really matter, because the world will continue to spawn treasures and vine spirits and vine beasts. Just as long as I am moving around, the world will continue to develop around me. I've now kind of put myself in a bad situation that I can't really approach that vine spirit unless I let this vine beast come in there and block me off. And these will be the last wine that we need to finish off this area. So we've already had quite a bit of a fright in the forest, and we still have quite a ways to go. We have, I believe, 8 different types, and 2 extra gems, so that puts us at 82. I'm not really keen on escaping into the jungle. That's not where I want to escape to. That is not someplace that I need to visit, and it's not someplace that is particularly safe to visit. It may be easier to escape from than the vineyard, and so it may actually be a good idea to go into the jungle, but that area is so dangerous, and I have kind of so much at stake at this point because we're getting so far that I'm really disinclined to take a lot of risks right now. Now, let's see if I go there. That guy will not give me trouble. But that doesn't actually put me anywhere. I kind of went this way because I saw wine, and didn't really think that I don't actually want to get any more wines, because 10 is what you need to progress, and getting more than that just causes the monsters to go more berserk after you. So, apparently I'm very close to some place that I've been before. I don't know when. Oh, here's Relia. Okay, that's actually exactly what I want to get into. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to get in there, and I don't see a way. I can kind of move along this vine and try and find a vine spirit that will let me through here, and then follow it back. But I'm not actually seeing any. So maybe there will be an orb of ether that I can get to, though I still don't have... If I can get across this vine here, I can get to that orb of ether and get into Relia that way. But I have not encountered any spirits on this vine, and so now I'm having stuff kind of come up to me that is making it a little bit dangerous. Okay, so here is a crossroad. And here actually is a vine spirit that I can use to escape. And I actually realized as I was doing that I really should have checked around to make sure that I was not being threatened by any vine beasts when I let that vine spirit come up to me, because something that has often happened that has caused me to lose is I have waited for a monster to come up to me and didn't notice that there was another monster coming up from another direction, and so I got caught in a pincher attack many times because I was focused on just fighting one monster that was on the screen and didn't notice the other one come onto the screen. So we do need 10 royal jellies from the hive, and it looks like here is our first nest, and there's already a vine beast after us. So let's see if we can get the hyperbugs to fight this vine beast for us, but it looks like we're not going to be able to quite do that because we're kind of moving in the same direction. Maybe... Okay, there we go. And that looks like left a vine, yeah. So the hyperbugs actually managed to kill... I realized as I did that the vine beast might have the right tempo to just fight all of them off, and then I would be stuck with no bugs left. But I have 52 after me. And let's see how many come after me. 48 are coming after me in this nest. And so now I just want to work my way around to the other side and not get swarmed, which I kind of failed to do. So now I need to really step back and leave myself some room. I was a little worried about how I was going to get back to the nest, but I managed to get there. And it looks like there are some blue hyperbugs after me as well, which I was kind of wondering about because I saw that there were more blue than yellow. Or, I guess, is it blue or green? I don't... Okay, words. I am clearly getting tired. I am getting very close to the end of this episode. So what I was trying to express is that I don't actually know if these are yellow or green, and I think they might be green. That seems more plausible because the other colors are red and blue, and because now that I'm looking at it, it does seem a bit dark for a yellow. But I don't know, because I'm colorblind, so if I run into one of them, I might take a moment to check, but... it looks like here's a nest of them right here, so we can get another army, and... Okay, they are green, so I will have to remember that. So we can get this Hyperbug army after us, and then just try and find another one. A red one or a blue one. And that's going to... I still don't really know how to use these to navigate. I still haven't really figured out what kinds of patterns they're describing. But here is a red encampment over here, and so we can set these guys to fighting, and maybe just watch their battle. We can actually... There's some way to move around that I'm not really sure... I'm not really sure how to pan in this version. But we can kind of watch the fight from here and try and stay out of the way as much as possible. And I'm not really getting a good view because it's kind of off to the side. And if I could pan over to it, maybe we could get a better view, but I don't think that's something that I'm going to spend a lot of cycles on trying to figure out how to do, because I need to put all of my concentration on playing the game, and that is 10 treasures in 9 types. And so I'm going to break here. The other episode will already be available, so you can watch it if you want to. If not, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.